Good afternoon and welcome to Morning Meets the Eye. I'm your host, Blind Prime. For today, we're going to be bringing you Tarn from Transformers Generations Legacy Evolution. Yep, Tarn from the comic universe, IDW Comics. Now, an interesting thing about Tarn here is that I've never seen him with my own eyes. Every other Transformer I've covered on this series, I have actually seen a picture of them before I went blind. I know what they look like, at least vaguely. I had a memory of them. Now, this guy never had a memory of. I didn't even know he existed until after I went blind. So imagine my surprise. I finally get him, and I heard people talking about the fact that he wore a face mask of the Decepticon symbol. I didn't realize how awesome this face mask is. I'm sorry. I mean, it's sad it doesn't move. Like, you can't, move the face mask around or take it off or anything, but it's really neat. It's a freaking awesome face mask. I'll describe it to you real quick. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 little prongs at the top, like the Decepticon symbol, and they all come down together to create a very nice Decepticon symbol. He's even got a little face mask in there. This guy, he's got the little, Optimus Prime face mask. He's just so malicious. He's just maliciously malevolent. He's awesome. I love this face sculpt. I absolutely adore the face sculpt here. It's just so good. And also, as a person who's got plenty of Autobot face stuff, sculpted in Autobot symbols to feel, it's nice to finally get a sculpted in Decepticon symbol. I've wanted one for a while, and I'm very happy to finally be able to feel a Decepticon symbol and know what it feels like, to remind myself what the Decepticon symbol looks like, because I've almost forgotten. And I had forgotten there were 4 little prongs at the top of the Decepticon symbol. And yeah, it's odd that way, but it's just sometimes you forget things if you haven't looked at them in a while, and it's good to get a refresher and go, oh right, yeah, that's what the Decepticon symbol looked like. So, top down, that's already getting some major bonus points. That's a good head sculpt. Holy crap, this guy's got a great head sculpt. Now, let's get into the rest of the figure. So, we'll talk siege ports first. Okay, and this guy's got such an interesting thing. We're going to remove his... Get that... Please, get that off here. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about something, we'll discuss all the siege ports, and then I'm going to focus on some. All right. So first off, he's got 1 on his back. We've expected that. So that's 1, and then 1 on each of his shoulders. That's 2 and 3. Now, you would think the other one is, but that's actually screw holes, so don't even worry about that. So he's got 3 siege ports so far. We'll cover the arms in a second. Now, he's got 1 on each of his legs, so that makes it 4 and 5. And then he's got 1 on the bottom of each of his feet, makes it 6 and 7. Okay, so 7 siege ports. Now let's talk about the arms real quick. So we're going to go over here to this arm first, all right? Now this arm, it's got 1 siege port, okay? It's weird that way. It's got 1 siege port, all right? But then, so that makes it, where were we at? We were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're at 8 with that one on the arm. Now this arm is interesting. I don't know why, but this arm has 2 siege ports. I have no idea why it's got 2 siege ports, but it has 2 siege ports on it. It's weird, but there's 2 of them there. Now that would make it from, I was at 8, now it's 9 and 10. And then of course we're going, if you count the hands, which are C-clasps right now, because they can open and shut, they're not really siege ports, but it's at 10 and that would be 11 and 12. It's just odd that there's 2 on one arm and only 1 on the other. I just wanted to point that out. I wanted to make sure you understood the weirdness of that, the asymmetrical nature, and especially whenever this is such a symmetrical figure. Everything on the left side and everything on the right side is perfectly equal, except for that siege port. That's just weird, and I wanted to bring that up. That's the asymmetrical bit that makes him from the symmetrical Adonis into almost the symmetrical Adonis. Now, let's talk about the sculpt for him. Or actually, we'll slide him off to the side. We'll get into these accessories real quick, and then we're going to get into his sculpt and movability. This is, of course, the Megatron Fusion Cannon, and I have that out because I wanted to compare sizes. Okay, so this guy's Fusion Cannons, he comes with 2. He had Fusion Cannons that were very similar to Megatron's. They were supposed to be, replicas of Megatrons, but you see here, Tarn's Fusion Cannons are a lot skinnier than Megatron's, actually. Tarn's Fusion Cannon can fit inside of Megatron's Fusion Cannon. That's weird. But lengthwise, the Tarn Fusion Cannon is shorter than the Megatron Fusion Cannon. Both of them are, because both of these cannons are the same height. So boom and boom. Look at these guys. They're so short compared. Now, sadly, these Fusion Cannons don't have any female ports on them. No siege ports whatsoever, except for at the top. So you can't go putting one of these cannons on each side of Megatron's Fusion Cannon. That would have been kind of neat. But there is nothing else to do. Nope. You can put, not that way, this way. Can put him in there and turn the fusion cannon into a longer cannon, and then you can go ahead and plug the other one on, and now you got this crazy long cannon. Like, good grief, that is a that's a long cannon. It's weird. All right, now the two fusion cannons that Tarn comes with are the only times that we're going to see waffling in this entirety of this is the we've got all these hollow sections. This is the only waffling we will find in the Tarn figure, and I want to make sure I point that out. It's some decent, that's not the greatest waffling in the world. It's pretty messed up, but it's only on the inside of these guns, and most of these guns' insides are hidden by this other part here. This part is a weird little spinny bit that's similar to the one that came with Springer, except it's thicker and fatter and more meant for a tank turret. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siege ports on it, and 1 and 2 siege pegs. And that means these guys can fit on it in all sorts of different ways. And yeah, these fusion cannons also have some really nice sculpt work on them. I love the iron sights that are set 90 degrees off center from where the handle is, so that when these things are plugged in sideways, the iron sights are facing the up in the correct direction. And that also assists you when you're like, I don't know which way to put these guns. Put them so the iron sights are facing up whenever you attach them to the core bit. And now you have really cool like fusion cannon thing. Then, of course, you could take this guy and that siege port right there at the front. You plug that into the siege peg, and now you've got the fusion cannon and 2 little cannons on either side. I think that's kind of neat. So we're just going to set that off to the side. Oh, yeah, and it spins. All right. So those are the accessories. They're pretty cool. I like the fact that one accessory gives you access to 5 more siege ports. That's pretty neat. And now let's just talk about this guy's sculpt work. All right, we discussed the sculpt work of his head and how amazing that is. That's just such a good head. Oh my god. All right, now we'll talk the sculpt work of the body. It's very symmetrical. We've got these triangle vent things on either one of his breasts. Comes down here to where his breastbone would be, and you get this up armored stuff. And you come down, and it's got this little slit there to where his abs area would be. Sadly, there's no ab crunch, but oh man, that is some nice sculpt work for the body. That is good. You got enough molding and sculpting. Now you can get the understanding like this is a beefy robot. This is somebody who's got a lot of armor on him. And he's going to be hard to take down. But it's not. It's not the type of stuff that is over sculpted. It's over molded. It's not doing that. This is very simple and symmetrical. It's nice to the touch. It's nice to feel, and I love the fact the symmetry of it. It's nice to have a symmetrical robot. Now. The shoulders are really fun because what they've done here is the tank tread, one of the tank treads, because each side of this vehicle mode will have 2 tank treads. One on each side is actually put close into the body, and they make up the inside of the body just on either side of the head. But then the other tank treads fold in half, and the arms are on the underside, and they become the rest of the arm, and the shoulder connection is where the 2 tank treads are connected. So you got some nice shoulder action and stuff there, but the sculpt work on this is just beautiful. And I think the most interesting part is this little bit on the side. The siege port on the side of the shoulder actually removes itself. Let's see if I can get it done. May not. Come on, there it goes. Look at that. That actually folds open for the transformation, and it will rest on top of the. It will rest on top of the vehicle mode, but I just wanted to point out, like, wow, that's really neat. That is just a weird little attention to detail that I wasn't really expecting, and I'm very happy to have it. And also, that brings up an interesting question about this top bit. Is that a siege port? It felt like a siege port, but it's not. Okay, so that's just the tank tread top. Like that's the gear wheel for the top of the tank tread. That's not a siege port. It feels like it would be, but if you get your fingernail in there, you can feel there's a flathead screw style thing in there. And I guess that's just making it the gear wheel thing. It would have been cool if it was 2 siege ports, one stacked on top of each other. That would have been neat, but oh well. Anyway, the sculpt work for the treading on this tank is excellent. I like how each tread almost comes to a point. And also, with his arms like this, I wonder if he ever in the comics actually revved up his treads and shoulder checked somebody with them. Like, he'd shoulder check a robot with these treads, and it's just, you're shoving a grinder against a piece of metal. You're going to get a lot of sparks and a lot of damage. I mean, it may be superficial, but still, it will knock a person back. That's really, really bestial. Uh, Now, the arms, we're going to go down from the treads that have the really fun treads, down to here to the arms. And the arms are, they've managed to get some sculpt work in and managed to make the arms a little thinner than I thought they would be. They have a little less movement than I was hoping, but they overall have some decent sculpt work to them. Once again, they're going with the minimalistic design, but they're not leaving it completely blank. They're giving you enough to work with here, especially on the front of this forearm. That is a lot of cool textures in there, and it's really fun to be able to feel all that. And I appreciate that not everything's paint. Now on the forearm, we got this piece that has the two siege ports on the right arm, and on the left arm there's only one siege port. That's the difference between these arms. There's nothing really else different. A neat feature of these things is that these panels that have the ports on them can actually fold down and around to the other side of the arm. And that does reveal what I want to say is another siege port. Let me check. Yes, it is kind of a siege port. I don't know if that one was the best one to check. Let me use one of his guns, not Megatron's gun. Oh wait, that's a weird siege port because I don't think it actually is a siege port because it's rectangular. But funny thing enough, it does like you can put something in there and take it out, but it doesn't feel like it belongs. So if you have anything that's square, that it can kind of fit there. Huh. That's a weird little feature that I wonder. Let's for this video, and I'm sorry, this is going to take up just a small amount of time, but I got a headmaster over here. Are you the headmaster? I think you're the headmaster. Yes, you are. Okay, cool. So let's grab Twin Twist's head. Get off here. Body. Right, Twin Twist, go over here. Why do I have to put you down on all the places that can't have it? All right, so Twin Twist has and took his head off. Now let's see. Let's see if the head will fit into that little square area. It's too big. It kind of fits. That's freaky. I've got a tumor. He's got a head tumor. Okay. That's kind of cool. You could do kind of like a hologram feature. Maybe if you were doing some visual stuff, you could put the head like that, and now it looks like he's speaking to a hologram head on his arm. You know, that's multiple personality disorder for you, but it fits. It fits in there, and it does it all right. So that's a little feature of Tarn that I don't know if anyone's talked about. You can. Good Lord. Cat hair. Sorry. You can put a head in there. That's neat. So we're just going to go ahead and close that up and move that panel back down. Now these hands can open and shut, and they're really nice. I love the fact that they open and shut. And we saw this in G-Axis, and it's nice to have another Decepticon with opening and shutting hands. I'm trying to get that cat hair out of my mouth. Man, I love cats, but they shed everywhere. Now, that's the arms and the body. So let's move on down here to the legs. We got a decent groin. There's some nice textures going on there. And he doesn't have any sort of thigh skirts whatsoever, but he does have some nice thighs. This guy's thighs are really thick and sculpted quite nicely. I always appreciate it whenever they go around sculpting the thighs. You never get that. You never ever get the sculpted thighs, and it's really nice to have that. Now, the thigh isn't sculpted where the knee would rest, but then again, this knee is pretty heavy duty, and it's going to need a place to rest. And that knee has the other instance of waffling on this figure, but that's it. There's the knee is kind of hollow, but there's no other waffling, which is really, truly amazing. Now, we come down here to below the knee. We get his lower leg armor, which feels like some really heavy-duty armor. This guy definitely feels like he can take hits, but it's also not overly bulky. Like, Megatron here is an incredibly bulky bot. Like, an incredibly bulky bot. And Tarn, even though he's the same height as Megatron, and their heads are the same size, everything about them, these guys are very similar. Tarn feels like, you know, an athletic sprinter body compared to Megatron's heavyweight, heavy lifting championship body. That's the impression I'm getting. Like, one's a bruiser and one's a runner, kind of a sprinter. Okay. Megatron's leg is his foot always messes up and it requires special treatment to get that going again. But that is the comparison of the two, and I have a YouTube short that compares them more. So finally, let's talk. Oh yeah, we're coming down here to the feet, and finally the feet are really nice. We got some good foot textures going on here. I do like the fact that there's these claw bits that are sticking out the front of the foot, kind of like the claw bits that you see on the end of a shovel for a backhoe or something like that. And I do think those are really cool. That is just a nice little, making him more menacing kind of feel. He is a menacing guy. He's a villainous villain. It's vitriol how villainous he is. So articulation, finally, we're getting to that. His thighs can kick up almost sideways, almost a 90. They can go up a little more than a 90. They can go back a little more than a 90. The knees have single joint unless you break a connection. So how you do that is put your thumb on the back, put your thumb between the back of the leg and the back of the thigh, and then move your finger over this knee pad and then push down with your finger while keeping your thumb in that leverage position where it becomes a fulcrum. And that will allow you enough room to actually pull the peg out and allow this to be a double jointed knee. Now we can do some really fun little double jointed knee poses that you could do with uh, uh, you could do it with other figures. I don't know why I'm spacing on Sunstreaker. That's the name, Sunstreaker. You could do a lot of cool poses with Sunstreaker, but you can get this guy in a knee, and the fact that he's got this really sharp knee pad that would stick out, it feels more like a weapon than anything else. And do I have anything to like? Yeah, here we go. Here's Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper's here, and Cliff Jumper would actually be able to take the knee to the face. Oh yeah, look at that! Look at that! Right to the face with that knee. Just bam, bam, bam. Yeah. I think that's fun. Okay, it's fun that you can do that. It's fun that you can, he can actually hold that pose of kicking, kneeing somebody in the face. I think it's fun. This entire figure's fun. Everything about him's fun. And now finally, let's talk about his back. His back is clean. It's just, there's so they've managed to mix in the kibble from the vehicle mode with the robot so perfectly well. It's just, ah, it's a beauty. I almost give this thing a 10 out of 10. I do almost give it a 10 out of 10. I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. No, not just because he doesn't have double jointed elbows. I think they could have managed double jointed elbows. But overall, excellent figure. And finally, he gets 360-degree rotation in his waist. His arms can raise up to a 90. They can spin 360 at the shoulder. His elbows pull exactly a 90 unless you move this thing down, and then they can pull a little more than a 90, but not much more than a 90. And then the hands can spin all the way around, and the hands can open and shut. And finally, they did a good job with the head here. The head can look down decently well, and it can actually look up pretty far because of the way it's transformed. And because of how the transformation works, you get like this beam under there whenever he's looking up that kind of seems like it's some support structure for his neck. It's small, but it's in there, and it didn't have to be, but it is. And it's just, I appreciate it. I really do. Whenever I find a Transformer that I consider to be a work of love, something that somebody who is a fan of the character actually sat down and spent some of their own personal time working on it and developing it and designing it. And that's what I see here with Tarn. I see a figure that if you don't pick it up now, you will regret it later. This is a fear of missing out figure for sure, because you can't miss out on this guy. I don't know if they're ever going to make him again. Tarn is a terrifying Transformer. The fact that he can remove somebody with voice alone, just he speaks in such a way, he can actually achieve the resonance of a person's spark connection, like where their spark, from what I understand, where a Transformer spark connects to the rest of their body, He resonates in such a way he can disrupt the spark's connection. He can even resonate in such a way he can disrupt the spark's connection with the physical world and cause the spark to disperse. He can pop a spark from talking to somebody, and that is the death of a transformer, is for their spark to disappear. And he can make that happen with his voice. He did it over a voicemail message he left on a transformer's phone. They listened to the voicemail and died. This dude was already dead. He had been destroyed. And it's years after he had been destroyed. And he still managed to kill a person after he had died. I'm just like, wow. Just wow. I have to say, just wow. Leader of the Decepticon Justice Division, the most fanatic Decepticon that's out there. He worships Megatron as some sort of deity. He hero worships Megatron to, above and beyond normal, to the point where if Megatron turned sides, he would destroy Megatron because Megatron's no longer pure. He's just that much of a fanatic. And I'm very happy to be able to bring him to you today. Thank you for watching today's video. I know it may have run a bit longer than normal, but Tarn is a character that there's a lot to say about. So please tune in next time where I'll teach you how to transform him from his robot mode to his vehicle mode, and it's a fun transformation. So see you next time. Bye-bye for now.